there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Bundles, and today we're going to be talking about what to do in the event that your vendor goes missing. When I say missing, I mean, communication just stopped. You're not able to get in contact with your vendor. You're not able to place any more orders, and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So if you are interested in this video, be sure to give the video a big thumbs up. Please make sure that you are subscribed, and let's get right into the video. So I've talked about this in some other videos that I've created. If you have not checked out my video playlist, then I strongly recommend you do so. I have videos in a playlist titled Starting Your Business or Entrepreneurial Tips. And then I also have a Starting Your Hair Business playlist as well. So take a look. I have a couple other playlists too. So if you are interested in more information regarding, your hair business and just business tips, then make sure that you check out those playlists. But I am going to create this video today just because I think it's going to be very helpful, very useful. You'll be surprised if you have not started your hair journey, how common this is, how common it is for vendors to go missing, how common it is for vendors to just, disappear. And so I always recommend that you have a backup plan because your business, it depends on inventory. And so you want to make sure that you have, an inventory source, even if one goes missing. Now, this is one of the reasons that I strongly recommend that, drop shipping for everyone. Even if you're like, hey, I have a vendor, it doesn't hurt to have a backup option, especially with drop shipping being $50 every 3 months, with no contract and no really, obligation to stay with it. It doesn't hurt to have a backup plan. So if you are interested in choosing Bad Chick Hair, which is my hair company, for your hair vendor, or if you are interested in choosing Bad Chick Hair for your secondary backup option, click the link down below that is titled Drop Shipping. Go over to the website and read more information. I do also have a few payment plans available if you are interested. But let's go ahead and get right into the video like I mentioned. So what to do when a vendor goes missing on you. The first tip that I have is update your website. So depending on where you're at in your inventory, so if you really don't have too much inventory at this time, say there's just been a big sale, or say, it's just been a busy month or a busy week and you don't really have too much inventory. You may have inventory in one, texture and a few lengths, but it's not really a full house stocked inventory. Then you may want to go to your website and select, especially if you're using Shopify. I don't know if this option is available on other e-commerce sites. If you're not with Shopify, click the link down below and start your trial with Shopify as well. But if you are on Shopify, you have an option to go ahead and click sold out in the textures and lengths that you are currently sold out in. So you might want to do that just until you can get back in communication with your vendor. You can also put something on your website like website, updating or website revamping, and, kind of shut down your website, meaning you're not accepting any orders during that period. Now, when I say shut down, I don't mean, just don't pay your website, bill and just let it go inactive. But I am saying that set the right expectation that you are working on a few things on your website. You don't have to explain that you're out of inventory. You don't have to explain that, hey, your vendor went missing. Make sure that you are being professional still. You can still be transparent. I'm just saying that everything isn't needed. As far as when you're updating your customers, you don't have to go into full detail on, hey, I met this vendor. Now this vendor is going missing. So y'all gonna have to wait on your hair. You still want to be professional. So you can say something along the lines of, we're currently sold out. We're currently updating our website. Now, if you do say something as far as you're updating your website or revamping your website, when you do become active again, when you do find your vendor, or when you find another vendor, you do want to make sure that there's something different with the website, some kind of update, so that you are following through with the expectation that you initially set in place. But that's the first thing that I would do. I would have either I'm out of stock. Even on Shopify, it gives you an option to choose like how many bundles you have left in a certain texture and in a certain length too. So I would go there and update that as well. Just because, like I said, you can still receive some of the orders. You can still go ahead and, get what you can until you do get back in communication with your vendor or find a new vendor. Or if you're like, hey, I don't even want to, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to move until I actually get in contact with them again, then go ahead and put a message on your store. Pretty much, just letting your customers know that you're working on some things or you're revamping some things, and you will send like a newsletter. And this is also a great time to have them sign up for your newsletter so that they will be aware when you do decide to pretty much reopen up your online store for purchases. Now, the second tip that I have is, you definitely search for another vendor. So if your vendor goes missing on you once, even if you're waiting for communication, if it takes, in my opinion, if you can't find your vendor and they go missing for more than a week, even if I do get back in communication with them, I'm still kind of skeptical. I'm like, wow, like this happened before, so I don't know if it's going to happen again. Like, I don't know. I don't want to take that chance again. So even if you do decide to do business with them, be cautious of that. And I would still search for another vendor. I would still be looking for different backup options. A lot of times we don't really take into consideration how important having a backup option is. And so we just kind of, get used to our routine, and we just, live life day to day and run our business. And, when we hit a road, it's like, wow, I didn't expect to hit this. But always expect and plan for, I don't want to say the worst, but kind of that's what it is. So plan for the worst. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but in the event that it does, you still want to make sure that you have another plan. And like I said, we don't really know what is going to happen. You never know. But I still want to make sure that I'm well prepared, because in that example, say my vendor went missing and I just didn't know, where to contact the vendor. While that vendor is missing, I can still go ahead and keep, replenishing and keep reordering inventory. So depending on your order volume, everyone orders their inventory at different times. Some people are on a weekly schedule with inventory. Some people order, maybe every month. Some people order maybe every couple months. It just really depends. But still, it's like the least moments that you expect to order are the moments that you get an order. So I would always be prepared. My third tip is decide what to do with existing inventory. So one of the things when you are purchasing wholesale, if you go ahead and you say, for example, you purchased 20 bundles of Brazilian straight. And so you have the straight here. Now, if you do have a backup option, when you're searching for that backup option vendor, you do want to compare the hair types. You want to make sure that they're comparable. Not every Brazilian straight is the same. Sometimes you'll order from a company, their Brazilian straight still has a slight wave to it. Sometimes you'll order from a company and it's bone straight. So you want to make sure that the two vendors that you decide to go with, their inventory matches, so that in the event that you do have to find another, vendor, or in the event that you have to use your backup option, you won't, have one set of Brazilian straight over here that just doesn't match with the other vendor's Brazilian straight. You still want to make sure that like I mentioned, the vendors that you are choosing has comparable hair textures and patterns. Now, this can definitely be tricky, but it definitely is possible as well. You do have to do some research. It is going to be costly as far as purchasing the samples from different companies. But I don't even want to say costly. It depends on you. And everyone has a different budget for it. But I definitely would recommend doing that, because like I said, you don't want to get one vendor and the curl patterns are completely different. The textures are completely different. The quality is completely different. And over here, it's a visible difference. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't react the same. And so, that's one of the things that I would look into, especially if you're someone that's buying hair in bulk, because you want to be able to match that vendor with your existing inventory. Or, in the event that it doesn't match, if it does not match, I would not recommend you sending out the hair, because the last thing that you want is to send out hair that's not consistent and, different grades of hair, and, your customer not feel comfortable purchasing with you again. So be cautious of that. Some events you may just have to give away the hair. Some events you may just have to go ahead and offer a quick sale and just decide to sell out all that inventory if you can't find another match. And some events, you may want to just hold the hair, put it aside, and you use it, for maybe the next year. But, that's something that is definitely worth your while, actually, testing both sets of hair, because that's something that's really important. Like I said, it's one of the worst things that can possibly happen to your customers. You send out hair that doesn't match. It's not their fault that your vendor went missing. It's not your fault that you're going through anything on the back end. And a lot of times customers really don't care what's happening on the back end. And that's another reason why I advise not to really go into hey, my vendor went missing, this happened, I can't find them. I wouldn't put all of that on my website update. I would, like I said, make sure that I selected out of stock, out of inventory, or that I'm revamping or updating my website. Now, the fourth tip I have is don't panic. Although you may be feeling like, wow, like who does this happen to? It happens to a lot of people. But if you are well prepared, then when it happens, or if it happens, it won't really have a really hard negative effect on your business. This is a common practice, not even just in the hair industry, but period. You know, there is very common to have multiple vendors. It's very common to have backup options. You're relying on a product to carry your business and your customer service and, your website and things like that. But pretty much when you're selling something, when you're in sales, it's that product or the service that you're selling, and you can control your service. However, for the product, that's something that you're getting mailed in. And so you do want to make sure, like I mentioned throughout the whole video, that you are staying on top of that. Because like I said, it's a very common practice to have backup options just in case. Even big corporations, they may have one specific vendor that comes in to replace the computers if a computer breaks. But if you can't contact that vendor, if that vendor goes out of business, you still have to keep your business moving. So what are you going to do? You're going to find another vendor, or you're going to use your backup option. So don't panic. Don't feel like you're alone. You're not. Just make sure that you use it as a learning experience, and that, next time you plan ahead. And then the fifth tip I have is what I've been going over the whole video. Just make sure that you do have a backup plan. Even if it's not necessarily a backup vendor, then make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure that you have an idea of, okay, if, this vendor goes missing, I have this much hair over here that I haven't sold. What am I going to do? Am I going to offer a sale? What kind of sale would I offer? If this vendor goes missing, do I have a backup plan? Is the backup plan comparable to the hair that I'm already selling? If it is, okay, great. If it's not, okay, so I'm going to need to go ahead and sell out this hair, or give away this hair, or, use this hair for myself. And then I'm going to have to, go ahead and start with a new vendor. Now, if you are starting with a new vendor, then I do recommend that you put on your website that you're updating your website, or updating your products, or upgrading your products, because, it's going to be a different hair texture and pattern, and your customers can definitely notice that. And you do want to be transparent, with your clients as well. So I would take new pictures. I would post those new pictures on my website with the website revamp or update. And I would go from there. So just be cautious. Make sure that you are choosing your vendors wisely. A lot of people just look at the price. It's not always about the price. There are other features that you do want to look at with your vendor, such as the quality, such as consistency. I mean, if they sent good hair this time, are they going to send good hair next time? What is the reputation as far as sending you good hair? Also, are you able to communicate efficiently with them? Do they answer your email back, one day, and then, the next day you send an email, you don't hear anything from them for another month? How is the communication between you all? Third, how much do they care about your business? Sometimes you'll contact your vendor and you'll ask, hey, how much do the bundles typically weigh? A question that your customer may have asked you. And if the vendor is taking literally weeks to get back with you, it's like, hey, do you care about my business as well? And a lot of vendors that are good vendors and seasoned vendors, they will care, because they understand that the more you make, the more they make. However, there are still some vendors that are just nonchalant, like, hey, I really don't need your business, and I don't really care. So, you want to make sure that you're looking at more than just the price. Look at the overall picture and have a backup plan. If you do not have a backup plan, you can always check out my website. Again, the link is down below. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.